Hi everyone. So eatpredators is here at Nickelodeon hosting Slime Time Live. Woo! All right. So do you want to go down the aisle of slime? So first we have here a trigger warning for Nickelodeon because Nickelodeon's a trigger warning in general, but also we're about to talk about some deep thoughts. So trigger warning before we begin. Okay. Who's that? And then first question here, how many NDAs from Nickelodeon? Because we've been hearing a lot about NDAs in general in these corporate situations, and we're a little bit concerned because how can we as the public help if we don't know what's actually happening in there? So we believe that silence is violence. So we want to know how many NDAs at Nickelodeon, from employees to the cast, etc. Is Nick a predator? This is just a random question because we're hearing a lot of weird things are happening at Nickelodeon, and so it's all kind of pointing to this question: is Nick itself a predator? Protect children, not predators. My own personal experience at Nickelodeon, as you can see here, it says Nickelodeon didn't protect me. I did not feel protected at Nickelodeon as a child, personally. And so I'm demanding that Nickelodeon starts protecting children and not the predators. How many predators? That's a heavy question, but we would like an answer to that. How many predators have been at Nickelodeon? How many kids have suffered harm from predators within Nickelodeon? First slime of the day! Slime predators! Slime predators! Slime predators! Slime predators! Woo! First slime of the day, we're sliming predators. Second slime of the day, NDAs! Woo! Sliming NDAs, no more NDAs. Here are the hashtags for today's event. Hashtag slime predators, hashtag slime enablers, hashtag slime Nickelodeon. Oh God, this is the scary part for me. Okay, so we got here Dan Schneider, and to me, he is the creator of childhood trauma. He played a huge role in my personal childhood trauma. I did not feel safe around Dan Schneider while I was working at Nickelodeon. Actually, every time he came on set, my body got extremely tense. And later on in season 2, he yelled at me, made me cry in a room actually at Nickelodeon. I'm not sure if it was at Burbank or Nick on Sunset. I think it was Nick on Sunset. But him and a bunch of the executives made me cry in a room alone. And I don't think any child should have to experience anything like that, especially if it's coming from people that are supposed to be looking out for the kids on set. That's deeply concerning to me. So here's an intro to another slime of Dan Schneider. Slime! Woo! I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Okay, so we got next, investigate Schneider's Bakery. A lot of the footage on Schneider's Bakery TV shows are concerning to me as a parent. So I would like Nickelodeon, or someone actually external to Nickelodeon, not Nickelodeon, to investigate Schneider's Bakery. There was footage on Zoe 101 alone that when I look back at it now, I'm deeply uncomfortable by it. Even if you say you didn't know or you were just being like, childlike or whatever, I don't believe that, because an adult should know how that could be seen to others, and it puts kids in a vulnerable position, and it's very, very alarming and concerning. So I would like someone to investigate Schneider's Bakery and see what actually was going on in there and how many NDAs from Schneider's Bakery. Schneider's Bakery lawyer actually called me in 2019 asking me to come into a room with Dan Schneider to come up with some type of agreement. And so I'm guessing that was probably an NDA. I'm not fully sure, but it sounded like it. So Schneider's Bakery tried to silence me. So I would like them to investigate them. All right, slime time, trigger warning. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 predators who worked at Nickelodeon around children. One of them here was a production assistant for Adam Sandler's 8 Crazy Nights. He worked at Nickelodeon. He was convicted, trigger warning, of child at Nickelodeon. He was in the animation section, but he actually brought over a child to a studio where he sadly a child there at Nickelodeon, which is red flag Nickelodeon. Brian Peck, dialogue coach for all that. He did the comedy boot camp with Dan Schneider. So this was or is a friend of Dan Schneider. Predator, convicted child on set. Slime. Marty Weiss, child talent manager who would bring kids to Nickelodeon. Predator, convicted of client. Jason Handy, production assistant for The Amanda Show, convicted predator. We have John here from the Ren and Stimpy Show. He was accused of teenagers who looked up to him as a mentor, so slime him as well. Slime time! Woo! How many predators, Nickelodeon? Because this is enough for me personally right now. All right, so we have Sharon Lieblein. She was the vice president of talent. I have her here as enabler because she was in the room the day that I got verbally abused by Dan Schneider over there. She said to me, "Why are you crying?" and was basically making fun of me at 12 or 13 years old, telling me that it was not called Nicole 101, it was called Zoe 101, and told me that I should just be sucking it up, basically. She also told me that she's the reason I got the show, that I wouldn't have gotten the show if it wasn't for her. So that was a little bit traumatizing in general to hear an adult saying something like that to you. So I have her here as an enabler because she worked close to Dan Schneider and nobody did anything about the abuse that was happening on the set of Zoe 101. Over here, we have a CEO of Nickelodeon. I have a question here for her. Is she the chief of enablers? Because if she's the CEO, how come she didn't step in at any time to protect any of these children? I think that is deeply concerning, again, because she is an adult running Nickelodeon and there were kids that said they were being abused on these sets. So where was she? Where was she? Slime time! Cheryl Levine was a casting director. I have her here as enabler because everybody that was around me that was an adult at that time never intervened to protect me, never was concerned about me in general. So we're sliming Cheryl Levine today. Slime time! Here is CEO of Nickelodeon while I was there at Nickelodeon. My question to him is, do you have a noggin? Because where were you when all of that was happening on set? How come you didn't step down to make sure that the kids there were well protected? I want to know, where was he, and do you have a noggin? Slime time! All right, Fred Savage, we meet again. Fred Savage was a director on Zoe 101, and he is now an alleged predator. And so this is something I want to talk about today, is that, as you can see, predators are on these sets, even around children. Maybe he wasn't alleged yet at the time, but there were predators around children at Nickelodeon. So what does that mean? Probably that's why they're having a bunch of people sign NDAs and silencing them. So I want to know why so many predators were allowed on the set of Nickelodeon, just because there's children on set and we need to protect the children. We need to make sure we're not protecting the predator.
What are his allegations?
I think it was on set, right? For Wonder Years. He was using or allegations for the girls on set, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And then Ian. Oh, wait, sorry. Slime time, Fred Savage! Slime time. And then Ian, we meet again. Here, he was the talent coordinator on Zoe 101. I have a question. Child endangerment question mark, because he was the one who told my mom at 12 years old that he was taking me to makeup and hair, and I stepped out without my mom. She stayed in the trailer, and he was saying he was going to take me to makeup and hair, and then halfway there he nervously said to me, "Oh, Britney and Jamie want to talk to you in the trailer." And I remember being like, oh, maybe that's a good thing. Finally, someone's intervening. Maybe this is going to be a good mediation. And so I started stepping towards the trailer. And by the time I opened the door, I remember turning around to see if Ian was there, and he disappeared. And a lot of my trauma happened in that trailer, to be honest with you. And let's just make a hypothetical here, though. Let's say it wasn't Britney and Jamie in that trailer. What if he was taking me into a room with one of these predators over here that were on Nickelodeon sets? And this is why it's so important to make sure that when you're working with children, like Nickelodeon, you have to make sure that you're protecting children, that there's proper education on set to make sure people like Ian don't bring a child into a place where their parent does not know where they are. My mom did not know where I was that day. She did not know she was lied to. And because of that, a lot of trauma was brought upon me in that experience. So we got to protect children. Ian did not protect me that day. So sliming Ian. Slime time! All right, Matt, I don't know. He's a staff writer on Zoe 101. My question is Seth Lord, question mark, because I don't know how to talk about this fully yet, but I was on Family Guy, and it's a bad story that I don't really necessarily want to talk about today, but he told me that one of the staff writers on Zoe 101 became one of the staff writers on Family Guy, and that he showed Seth Zoe 101 and said that she's 18 now. And that's what I heard. And so I'm not sure if this is him, so that's why it's a question. But he can let me know. But either way, if it is him, I feel like sliming him. So slime time! Here's hashtag eatpredators, hashtag Nickelodeon 2. And so I just want to go through this like one more time. Like what we're seeing here is a bunch of professional execs at Nickelodeon who did not protect the children on set. That's what I'm trying to show here today, that children on Nickelodeon were not safe, at least the time when I was on it. I'm not sure if they changed anything, but what's deeply concerning to me is that Nickelodeon still has not given a comment to, for example, Jeanette McCurdy. Even to me, I've come forward multiple times. They've never given me an apology. And it's like, why not? Do we not deserve an apology whatsoever? Aren't you guys supposed to be the adults? And we were the children. And if we were traumatized on your sets, we deserve an apology. And so I'm here at Nickelodeon waiting for an apology. And also I want to let everybody know that some of their presumptions about Nickelodeon in general were true. You know, there are predators at Nickelodeon. There are just predatory behavior in general. There are enablers on set. There are people looking the other way. And this is concerning when it comes to kid shows. We're talking about kid shows, and we were not safe. We were not safe. So yeah, so that I guess that's today at Slime Time Live. Come over here. Let's go rally over here. Where's the megaphone? Does Sloan have it? Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Not the last slime of the day. Zoe 101! Woo! Slime Zoe 101! Woo! All right, you guys. Hello, hello, testing 1, 2, 3, testing 1, 2, 3. All right, let's begin these chants. You guys know this one by now. How many NDAs? 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 Silence is violence! 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 Eat predators! Predators! Eat predators! Predators! Slime predators! Predators! Slime predators! Predators! Slime enablers! Enablers! Slime enablers! Enablers! Protect children, not predators! Protect children, not predators! Protect children, not predators! Protect children, not predators!
Wow, I did not think that I was going to get that emotional while watching that protest. I haven't really watched that protest all the way through in a minute. So that was a bit emotional for me. I'm not going to lie. This whole day honestly has been emotional because I'm sure most people here have seen that at the end of the trailer, I say that I have waited 17 years for this day. And that wasn't an exaggeration. That was quite literal. And I didn't necessarily know if the doc was gonna come out because, you know, sometimes things can go wrong or the powerful people win in their intimidation tactics and, you know, stories don't get told. So when I found out that it was coming out, there was like a whole lot of emotions happening. A mixture of healing for sorry, healing for my childhood self because it was very sad for me to have to leave the show because of what was happening. It was really sad for me. And I'll never forget it because you're going to see in the documentary, but fast forward after all of those Nickelodeon execs sat there watching me cry as a kid. Fast forward when my mom and I knew that it was no longer, never was, but it was definitely no longer a safe environment for me. We asked to release me from the show. And we were eating pizza at this pizza place like down the block from my place. And I'll never forget it because my mom, her phone rang and she picked up the phone and it was my agent at the time, which, by the way, Chrissy Carlson Romano didn't feel comfortable saying who the agent was because it was an agent that her and I both shared. And that agent's name is Abby Bluestone. I don't feel afraid to say it. I'm not afraid of Abby Bluestone. But she was an agent at Innovative. And I remember they called my mom and they said, okay, they're gonna release Alexa. And I was hoping that they would want to change the environment. I thought that when we were asking for me to be released after everything I went through, I thought, oh, maybe when they hear that, they'll just want to be better. But no. They allowed me to be released with an exception. And they said to my mom while I was eating pizza, we'll release Alexa, and we know that the Kids' Choice Awards is coming up. And we just want you to know that Alexa is banned from the Kids' Choice Awards. And you're just like, now when I look back at it as a 31-year-old, you're like, are you punishing a child? for wanting to leave a toxic work environment? Why was I banned from the Kids' Choice Awards and not Dan Schneider? Right? We're going to see how many years back this toxic environment, work environment goes with Dan Schneider. And they banned me. And not Dan Schneider. And I felt so humiliated. I thought maybe the whole thing was my fault in a lot of ways. Like, maybe I should have tried harder. I don't know. You know, you're a kid. And then I had to watch everybody go to the Kids' Choice Awards, Dan Schneider and everyone, even though those execs at Nickelodeon knew that Dan Schneider was abusive. He was abusive towards children like myself, and he exploited children. His content is beyond disgusting. What Nickelodeon was allowing Dan Schneider to do, like Russell, what is his name? Russell Hicks? Russell Hicks said it, that Nickelodeon approved of everything that Dan Schneider did, right? Nickelodeon approved of all of that. And Dan Schneider was exploiting children in a way that was not okay. It was deeply disturbing. It was deeply upsetting. And as an adult, it's even more upsetting because you realize what was going on there. You know, you don't know all of the adult, I don't know. He would like to say jokes. You don't know those things when you're 12 or 13. But then when you're an adult, you look back and you go, wow, that was a grown man writing those episodes, writing it all, behind it all. And again, as Russell Hicks, who loves Dan Schneider so freaking much, which I wonder why. He wanted to make sure everyone knew that Nickelodeon allowed him to act like that. And that's what I talk about all the time, is that the institution backs up predatory behavior. It supports it. And as Russell Hicks said, approves of it. You're like, wow, okay, so that was in the early 2000s. But then when you look at what Dan Schneider ended up being able to do when it came to the slap, which, by the way, the name alone is beyond disturbing. Why is it called the slap? For children? Just curious. Seems a little bit aggressive. Seems gross. And at first I thought it was just Dan Schneider going rogue, you know? And it was just his own private, I don't even know what the fuck to call it. But then I found out that Nickelodeon was behind the slap. And Nickelodeon, technically, was allowing its child actors to be put in front of a camera in some of the most humiliating ways. And I don't want to speak for those people, that kids, teenagers that were in front of that camera during the slap, because that wasn't me. I was banned from the Kids' Choice Awards, remember? It wasn't me. But that could have been me, right? If my mom didn't stand up for me, I could have been in that same situation. And as an adult, when I look at that footage, I'm beyond appalled. What the fuck was that? I mean, really, you don't have to come up with a conspiracy theory or exaggerate anything. Dan Schneider is the exaggeration. He literally creates content that fits into the mold of red flag beyond, like 100,000 red flags. And when the whole Zoe 101 reunion was happening and I saw that Dan Schneider was there, I was glad that I wasn't there. You know, like, I don't want to be in any room with Dan Schneider. Dan Schneider is a creep. Notice how Dan Schneider has said nothing during this time. Notice how Nickelodeon has said nothing during this time. Because again, like Russell Hicks said, Dan Schneider's BFF, that Nickelodeon approved of everything Dan Schneider did. But when you think about it, and you think about the fact that he wrote that content, he created that content, he put children, and I don't even care if they were over the age of 18, because I'm sure they were still teenagers during the slap. But when you think about the content that they were creating, and it goes across all of these execs' desk, and that they approve of that. And so fast forward during the reunion when, you know, I got even more flashbacks of my time at Nickelodeon. And someone sent me the Ariana Grande content. When I got sent it, I clicked on it. And even YouTube asked me if I was 18 or over. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. This is supposed to be children content, and I'm getting asked if I'm 18 or over from YouTube. Like, what am I about to watch? So I verify my age and I watch it, and I had to pause it pretty much every 3 seconds. I could not believe that that content was being created. Dan Schneider can say whatever the fuck he wants to at this point. But I mean, he's honestly choosing not to say anything at all. He's having John Vaccaro and Russell Hicks.
So us being the good guys we are.
Yeah, the good guys. The good guys club. Comment for him. Because what, Dan Schneider, are you afraid to answer for your fucking self, man? Where are you anyways? Where are you? You've allegedly harmed multiple different people. You've traumatized me. You are not a good guy, Dan Schneider. You are not a good guy. And it might have taken 17 years for people to care about the ones that you harmed. But it happened at least in your lifetime. You're now having to witness what it looks like when people know what you do on set and what you do behind closed doors. I'm glad it was in your lifetime. I'm glad that you're watching and seeing, because I know that so many survivors out there from the past have come forward, and sometimes their predator, their abuser is no longer here.
Power to survivors! Power to survivors!
Power to survivors. A lot of survivors out there. I think the average for child SA is 50 years to come forward, right? So that means for the most part that their predator is no longer here on Earth, but you are. You're still here in like Tennessee or something. And you're having to watch the whole world find out. And that is very healing, I'm not gonna lie. It is very healing to be here today and be able to say, I wasn't alone. I was not the only person that you mistreated. You didn't care about. Now there are a lot of people that are saying that you weren't a good guy, as Josh Peck likes to say. You're not. You're not a good guy. And you honestly weren't that good at covering up or hiding the fact that you're a fucking creep. That content that you created, Dan Schneider, is disgusting. Shame on you. Shame on you. And yeah, it did take a long time, but people are definitely catching up. And they're realizing who you are as a person and how you hide behind your little crew of good guys like John Vaccaro and Russell Hicks and Nickelodeon. And it makes sense.
Eat predators!
Eat predators.
Eat predators!
Eat predators. But the most important part is that Nickelodeon protected you. Nickelodeon protected you because why? I'm gonna take a sip before I answer. Nickelodeon protected you because you were making them a lot of money. Money. Tons of money. And I wasn't able to talk like this in the documentary, so I'm like enjoying myself right now. I had to be a little bit more, streamlined. But Nickelodeon protected you because you were making them a lot of money. And that's the problem with a lot of these like extremely powerful, creepy men, is that because they make these companies a whole lot of money, these companies are willing to cover up for them and protect them. And then just pretend, oh, it was just another bad apple. You weren't just a bad apple, Dan Schneider. You were an apple rotting within Nickelodeon for decades, bro. They were watching you rot and didn't do anything about it. Apparently, allegedly, there were lawsuits about your behavior. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna say it right now. I just remember always going underneath that tent, where all like the casting chairs are and everything. And I always remember you getting massaged by some woman. Always getting massaged by some woman. And this wasn't a masseuse. This was someone who was employed by you. It was someone who I knew. And it's somebody who stands up for you. And that's a problem too, right? Is that a lot of these women specifically, and just people in general, are afraid of going up against men like you because they don't want to lose their job. They don't want to lose their career, and they don't want to be known as the woman who massaged you under a tent on set. They want to be known for the work they did, their talent. You know what I mean, Dan? And in the earlier years, when these things were really circulating, and I was getting calls about you, I remember hearing that this woman defended you, or that she just didn't want to talk. It's not that she necessarily defended you, but she didn't want to talk to anyone. And it made me sad, because I remember as a kid seeing her do that. And as an adult now, I realize how humiliating that was. And after reading the Business Insider article, your past allegations, Nickelodeon knew that you were like this, that you would choose to humiliate women and children. For what? For this today? This reckoning? This is what you did it all for. The things I've seen on sets in my lifetime have not been good. Which, some things I'm definitely not talking about today, right? But when I remember me as a child walking under that tent, and that you tried to hyper-normalize that type of behavior towards women in front of me as a kid, that was okay, that was just normal, is disgusting. You were around children. Children were going underneath that tent and seeing what you thought was okay. And you created a culture of that behavior. And it's just wild to think that that was normal, that no Nickelodeon exec went in there and Nickelodeon execs were in there. Just like sitting beside him while he's getting a massage by a female employee, which apparently this goes back. This goes back in time. Just sitting there, allowing it to happen, protecting him. You're like, wow. So I wonder how many Hollywood sets, right, just allowed these men to act the way they did. But not only act the way that they did, but to hyper-normalize the culture of that type of behavior. So that you doubt yourself that it's weird. You know what I mean? You're like, well, they're not saying anything. Crafty's not saying anything. Prop isn't saying anything. The execs aren't saying anything. So why should I? And that's the problem. Right then and there, Nickelodeon should have been like, what the fuck are you doing? This is somebody who's employed by us. This is someone who is employed, and we don't treat anyone like that. Because that individual doesn't necessarily have a choice in the matter, because it's her boss. And I know what that's like. You don't want to upset the boss. Because if you do, you could lose your job. And what you learned from the brave survivors of the Recording Academy that Harvey Mason Jr. does not give a fuck about is that when Terry McIntyre went to go get other jobs, he wouldn't let her. He wanted to make sure, allegedly, that he punished her for rejecting him or for going up against him. And this industry is exactly that. It's privileged men being able to do obscene things, commit obscene behavior, harm human life. And if they speak up against them, they'll ruin their life. They'll ruin their life, they'll ruin their career, and they get to just take those $7 million severance plans. And the company goes, oh, we're just parting ways.
So the best evidence that there is damage is the actual check that's written.
Yeah. Brian Freeman, a very famous Hollywood lawyer, said that. But they always give them these severance plans, right? $7 million. $7 million. What did all your survivors get at the end of the day when it came to your abusive behavior? I'm waiting. Nothing. Nothing. And then the whole world blames survivors that they want something out of it. What do they get? Why don't you ask Dan Schneider what he was doing it all for? Why did he choose a kids network? Why did he choose his position of power? And why did he choose that severance plan of $7 million? And all of these networks and all of these Hollywood corporations, they always tell survivors and all of their employees, you know, we don't want to make a big deal about this because we don't want to get sued. Well, guess what? You guys are all getting sued now for being complicit and for covering up this type of behavior. And the more I look into the whole frickin' thing, you could have let go of that person. You could have. You didn't have to financially reward these individuals with these investigations like Harvey Mason Jr. Oh, we got rid of Deborah Dugan because she was such a problem. Oh, so you let go of Deborah Dugan because she was such a problem. Well, why didn't you let go of Neil Portnow because he was an alleged R word?
Rot and piss.
I was not expecting that. That was like almost like a haunted house vibe. I just like got that actually freaked me
He
out.
talked about ghosts and places being haunted.
Where was I? Where the fuck was I? Oh, yeah. Deborah Dugan. So you're able to let go of people, like Harvey said, because they're toxic. But you can't get rid of men that, I don't know, make content where teenagers are on their backs pouring water on them. And then Nickelodeon goes around and says, we did an investigation. Oh, really? Like, I just picture like the Clue game. We did an investigation, like we found nothing. Well, how come Kate Taylor found a lot? And it seems like this documentary also found a lot. And it seems like Jeanette McCurdy had a lot to say about the creator. Right? And then wasn't Nickelodeon like trying to get Jeanette to, sign NDA? So is that what you mean by you didn't find anything? Because you silenced them all? That's what you do. Hollywood. You go around and say, we didn't find anything, because what you're actually doing is silencing the ones that had something to say. And in 2019, the same thing happened to me. Got a call, said this before, pretty fucking positive. Dan Schneider was trying to get me to sign an NDA. In 2019. And you're like, oh, so this is how nothing gets out. Because these huge, major corporations are covering up criminal behavior. And their money pays for it. And that's what they do. And so today is a fucking good day. Because it taught me, at least, that, okay, it took 17 years. It did. It took 17 years of my personal life. Now, that's not for the people before. It goes way back longer than that. But for me, I can speak for myself. 17 years to get people to care about us. They didn't care about us before articles came out or Jeanette McCurdy's book. And then they go, look, we care. Oh, look. We care. They're making money too, by the way. And it's all about money in this industry. And you have to pick your wins and loses, right? You have to go, well, at least eventually, there are good people in this industry that want to make money for the good things, right? If money's going to be a thing, at least their intentions and their heart are in the right place. But I do just want to remind everyone here, it's still money. No one cared about me on set. No one cared when I was talking about this, in 2019? And that's why Jeanette McCurdy is really incredible. Because she had the power. And she used her beautiful voice to write an incredible book that was not about Dan Schneider, by the way. It was about her trauma and her experience and her life and what she has to say about her life. And honestly, I was kind of sickened that it was all about fucking Dan Schneider. When it should have been about Dan Schneider before Jeanette McCurdy even wrote a book. What should have been heard in that book, in my opinion, was her story about who she is as a person. No one should be having to write books. No one should be having to do this because there are so many people that are witnesses to this type of behavior, and they constantly put it on the back of the survivors. On the survivors.
Survivors united will never be divided.
But this is awesome. But this is awesome. All of the seriousness that I've been saying in this last, I don't even know, hour. It feels like an hour. This is great. This is really, really great. This is the change that is needed. But unfortunately, there are still a lot of people like Dan Schneider working in this industry, doing far worse, by the way. And being protected by networks and
Jay Penske proceeded to urinate on her boot.
oh my God. Yeah, Jay Penske. PMC. What's going on in there? This stuff it's still happening, is what I'm trying to say, okay? It's not like this is done with Dan Schneider's documentary. It's not like, oh, cool, like we can all just watch this documentary eating popcorn and going like, I knew it. You know, it's like, okay, but what are we all gonna do about it? What are we gonna do about it? And it is still happening. And the main problem that, you know, I have with someone like Dan Schneider is the content that he was creating that was getting approved. And across the board, when it comes to like Vince McMahon and others that I will not name here today, this type of absolutely inappropriate, predatory content is being approved by major corporations because they're making money off of it. And because they're all predators at the top too, honestly. It's not a boys club, it's a predator club. And they're like, oh yeah, okay, cool, I got your back, man. And it's this whole spiel. And going up against it is extremely hard and extremely rough to do. And sometimes it takes someone like Max Streaming, right, to get these things out there. But anyways, I'm happy that this day is here. And I think it's worth a toast. That I'm hoping that all of these predators out there that think they're going to get away with their predatory behavior are not. And maybe you won't end up in jail. Maybe you're not ending up in a lawsuit, statutes, whatever. But people are going to know what kind of person you are and how you made them feel and what you did to them. And you're right. It's going to be your word against theirs. Right? I love when survivors get told that. It's a he said, she said. Okay. Who is the public going to believe, by the way? The asshole in the tower or the person below who has nothing to gain from it? So welcome to eatpredators Daily. I'm your host, Alexa Nikolas. I've been doing this for, God, I don't even know. It feels like forever. And today it feels like so many voices are being heard. And this is a good day for survivors. And I don't want it to be ruined by gross ass Dan, you know? This is a big day. Survivors are being heard, you know? But we still have a lot more work to do. And the work doesn't end here. We have a lot more work to do. There are still predators in this industry that are getting away with behavior that you don't even want to know, right? And so I'm so happy to see everybody here. This is, I'm like, dun 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 dun.
Power to survivors! Power to survivors!
We're gonna get into a few things today. We're gonna watch the trailer together. I can't believe this is actually happening. March 17th, the Dan Schneider doc comes out. But I do want to give a shout out to all of the very brave YouTube creators that were doing this story for a long time. You know, digging around and doing it with no backing. I would like to thank creators like Sloan, who, you know, really went with their intuition and started digging around and, you know, supporting the survivors of Nickelodeon. Because for me personally, I remember the people that stood up when there was no infrastructure for it. Where actually there was a higher chance of them being sued. And, you know, all of these, like, these, like, major networks or whatever, they're like, I'm afraid of getting sued. Well, why don't you Google Dan Schneider on YouTube really quick? Look at those brave-ass YouTube content creators that were talking about things that maybe they would have been sued for. You know what I mean? And they weren't. Why? Why weren't they? But I get it. I know the whole defense with these more powerful, whatever people. They're like, well, we, you know, have more to lose. Like, they'll come after us for sure. But, you know, at the same time, like, do they? I don't know. And either way, I'm pretty sure that lawsuit would be thrown the fuck out. I don't think judges waste their time with things that have a lot of backing evidence to support or corroborate, you know, the allegations, for example. And since you do have a lot more money, why aren't you using it in a better way? You know, like you have the production company, you have the this, that, to be able to keep yourself afloat. You have like litigation in your business model. You know, there's a lot of people that are content creators that don't have litigation in their business model. You know, they're just doing it from their house. And yeah, I just want to give a shout out to all those people because I felt very validated once I started getting sent certain YouTube creators highlighting and showing the content that was beyond extremely inappropriate when it came to children. And
Shout out Dylan Peddle too. You should see his comment, his sticker.
Oh wait, who? I might have to do a bathroom break. Dylan Peddle, you're such an amazing person, Alexa. Hopefully going forward, there will be more stricter policies against predatory behavior. And to Dan Schneider and Nickelodeon, forever. You know what? Now that Dylan Peddle brought this to my attention, again, I was saying this the other day, is because of the industry specifically, even the way that I tell like my story or I talk about like industry survivors or survivors in general, you know, you have so much pressure about being the perfect survivor. And it's a thing. It definitely looms over your head. And when I saw Phoebe Bridgers, you know, say what she said about Neil Portnow, honestly, it really put me, I don't even know how to explain it. It really reflected some maybe shadow aspect of myself that I needed to, I don't know, realize, and that I don't need to be a perfect victim, and I don't need people to like me, you know, to believe me about what I say. And so, you know, I would like to say that when it comes to Nickelodeon and Dan Schneider, I know they are both still very much alive. But when they are no longer here, rotten piss, honestly.
Rot and piss.
Rot and piss. And that's the new RIP, honestly, over here for survivors. And I actually feel good about saying it. Dan Schneider and Nickelodeon, rot and piss, man. And also, can we do a bathroom break?
Yeah, I'll play like.
Okay, I'll be right back. I'll be right back. I'm dropping the mic here. Can I go? Can I go? Rot and piss. Full blown. My opinion. Creep. And you know, this is all in my opinion. But it's also been other people's opinions. And so when you look back at a lot of the footage that came out of Dan Schneider's shows in context to what he was like as a person, then these things are different. It's not just a kid in a bikini on Dan Schneider's show. It's a kid in a bikini on Nickelodeon, which also, in my opinion, Nickelodeon has been extremely complicit when it comes to Dan Schneider's problematic, creepy content. Let's go into his many tweets on feeds. And not only his tweets on feeds, but his content when it came to feet. I mean, you don't have to look much when it comes to content by Dan Schneider with children feet, in my opinion, inappropriately. You don't. You really don't. And then when it comes to Dan Schneider actually tweeting himself about kids' feet, you really don't have to go that far. It's not really a huge stretch to find the problematic aspects of Dan Schneider with kids' feet. So let's go through them. Number 1, little Ariana Grande from @Victorious smiles at one of her co-stars' feet. But whose foot is it? Whose foot is it? Dan Schneider seems like the only person who seems to be excited about figuring out which kid's foot it is. Which child star from his TV shows, which foot is it? It seems like it's Dan Schneider who's the most excited about figuring it out, which is beyond disturbing. Like, really, just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, who even tweets this? How old is he here? Is like he in his 40s? Pick Carly tickles Sam's very unusual toes. If you have a moment, will you please name Sam's toes for us? Okay, Matt Underwood, if you're watching, which maybe you're not, but you don't see this being weird in any way? Like, Carly tickles Sam's very unusual toes? Like, what's unusual about the toes? And why are you tweeting this? And if you have a moment, will you please name Sam's toes for us? Like, what? I haven't seen any other creator on Nickelodeon saying anything even remotely close to this. The toe, recently adorned with a special toe flower, belongs to the sweet and hilariously talented Miss Jeanette McCurdy. With a smiley face. Here's Victorious. Have you ever tried to eat a foot without ketchup? It's disgusting. Okay. That's awesome. Thanks. I hope you don't have too much sand between your toes now. If so, hashtag take a toe shower. Take a toe shower with a smiley face is just... Why is a grown man tweeting this? And not just once or twice, but like multiple times. Here's another one. Video. Would you like to see Victoria Justice pour ketchup? A Zoe 101 fan, who is a wonderful person, by the way. And welcome back. I'm back. Playback. That was a nice, I don't want to say nice, but whatever, nice reminder of Dan Schneider's feet tweets. But I wanted to remind everyone about Matt Underwood's leaked emails. You know, the ones that he sent to a Zoe 101 fan, who we had here on the show, who is honestly a very kind, wonderful person. And the way that he mansplained everything to her in defense of Dan Schneider. And he talks about it. He's like, well, when... you know, like, let journalists do journalist things. And like, when it comes out like in an actual article and not a YouTube video, you know, then I'll be saying something basically along those lines. Matt Underwood, did you see the trailer that dropped today? Oh yeah. And actually the entire cast of Zoe 101, by the way, including Jamie Lynn Spears. We know she ain't gonna say a thing. But she did message this fan and said that she didn't even like Dan Schneider that much and avoided him. And I really don't like that. I keep seeing this with Nickelodeon stars in general, is they'll say all these things, or people in general, they'll say all these things behind closed doors. And then when it comes to frontward facing allyship, they're nowhere to be seen. Nowhere. Matt Underwood mansplained to this Zoe 101 fan that when a journalist does it, like, that's when I'm gonna take it seriously. Really, Matt? Where are you? I haven't seen anybody tweet, support any of the brave survivors of Nickelodeon, of Dan Schneider, who have come forward. I haven't seen any type of support towards them. And it's a bummer. Like, I'll get messages maybe privately here and there by people, but I haven't seen it forward facing. And imagine if all of these people, instead of spending all this time, you know, defending behind closed doors via email, defending someone like Dan Schneider, what if they actually did something about it, you know, and said that they support the people that are coming forward. And I would like to remind every survivor here, you don't need a journalist to publish your story. You don't need a documentary maker to validate what happened to you. Don't believe that shit. You don't. That's the patriarchy. That's what it is. All of this seal of approval of our trauma, we don't need it. We know what happened. We know. And our voices are enough. And thanks, but no thanks, right? It would be nice if someone validated our experiences, but we don't need it. We don't.
It's not only false, but it hurts your reputation.
Yeah, boys, is this whole documentary going to put a spin on Nickelodeon and Dan Schneider's reputation? But I just don't want, you know, when it comes to like celebrity culture sucks. 100%. And, you know, for the most part, a lot of the attention when it comes to predatory behavior goes towards prominent figures or people in positions of power. And I do want to remind people that even survivors in that situation, for example, still have to go through all this BS of getting a journalist to look at our evidence and, you know, give it then to their editor-in-chief and then give it to this man and then this man and then, you know, all these men. And then you're like, you know, and then finally maybe one man will be like, I approve. You know, you're like, okay. And it still happens and it's awful. And I do just want to say that it's all bullshit. It really is. No publication, no documentary can validate what happened to you. Only you can. And power to you for being able to ever even say it to a friend, to a family member, to anyone, even if it's just yourself, and you realize it alone. And you don't have anyone to validate or to tell it to. You don't need anyone. It's all bullshit anyways. It's all just money. And so as appreciative as I am when it comes to these documentaries and these stories getting out, which by the way, we need them to, right? Because sadly, Hollywood and celebrity culture does bring awareness to things that usually are ignored or downplayed. And so I'm not being not appreciative, but I'm being real in the sense where thank you, but I already know. And I didn't need your editor-in-chief to tell me so. And I didn't need your network to tell me it either. So, you know, that's just a moment for power to survivors, because I know even for me personally, when I see certain survivors, you know, getting any type of justice, right? It's so exciting and so amazing to see survivors getting justice. And then at the same time, you're like, I deserve justice too. And it's very real and valid. And so I just want to say that your story is enough. And sadly, you are living proof of it. Here are the evidence. So, what else are we gonna say today? Oh yeah, Nickelodeon, Dan Schneider, rotten piss. But moving on, we do have a few things to talk about today. Oh, also, I do want to say to everyone that I'm not going to be able to necessarily like watch the episodes here live because of like obviously like copyright issues. But I do want to watch these episodes alongside you all, because there are things that even I don't know about this documentary, and things that I was personally shocked by this morning when I watched it. And so I do want to watch it with the community. And so I'm going to be doing like a members only like watch gathering with everyone. And so if you want to join me and hold hands with me while I slowly start to realize like how much bigger this issue actually is than I already think it is, then, you know, I'm going to be doing it for the Dinner Party and Chef's Kiss members. Get together, watch it, and talk about it. And I don't want to be alone. Basically, I don't necessarily want to be alone, but I do also want to watch it with the community, because I know that this does mean something, and that all of you were talking about Dan Schneider and advocating, a lot of you, before the documentary, before a publication, you were advocating for Nickelodeon survivors. And I appreciate you guys. And you did it for nothing. So I really, really appreciate it. And so I would love to watch it with you guys. And here's Melanie. I see Melanie here in the chat. Am I super small in the corner? Oh, by the way, Miko's in the studio today. My husband is the one behind the screen today. Oh, here's the first issue.
Why are you small?
This has happened to Quiet and I a few times. Can we reframe it or no? Can you hear me? Miko. Yeah, it's kind of weird. It was framed properly before we started. You gotta have hope. Welcome to the dinner party. Welcome to the dinner party. We're gonna be watching this trailer, so we definitely want, we're definitely gonna want that screen bigger. Because are you guys ready to watch the trailer with me? I feel like we have to watch the trailer together. And something that I've noticed, by the way, is that for some reason, like my comments specifically, or like something that I've said always like ends either the article, or like it starts the article and ends it, or like, you know, ends it. And then in the trailer too, I was like, oh my God, I'm like at the end of this trailer saying, I've waited 17 years for this day. It feels like some like old, like Western, like, but it's true. But it's true. I've waited 17 years for this day. And, you know, something also just to like vent and talk to everyone about is, you know, I get tons of messages like DMs or comments like, this was 20 years ago, you know, like, what are you? And I don't, and after going to the Grammys the other day and protesting it, I mean, it's so funny that we celebrate men specifically for their like 20-year-long legacy, or like, you know what I mean by that? Like 20-year-long legacy, you know, the whole, where did I go?
I'm just trying.
I think you have to reframe it. Like, well, maybe you can play it onto your screen, right? What if you're playing it on your screen?
Yeah.
Then yeah, we'll do that. What was I gonna say? Wait, what the hell was I saying? Oh yeah, these 20-year-long legacies, you know, for so many people in the industry. Like, oh my God, like, you know, this album came out 30 years ago and it made X, Y amount of money and like got all of these accolades. And then when survivors come forward or talk about their trauma, it's all of a sudden that was 20 years ago. I mean, I have a list of specifically alleged predators, lawyers, whatever, where they always say that. This was 20 years ago. This was 30 years ago. This was 10 years ago. And it's funny how the patriarchy loves to use it against survivors, but when it comes to accolades and awarding them for their careers or their accomplishments, then they're all about 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 100 years ago. Why are there statues, you know, statues of random irrelevant men that are actually bad and criminals that we actually put up statues of, and no one says like, oh, that was like, you know, like what, 80 years ago? It's like, no, they only care about it when there's accusations against them for, you know, the problems that they've created or the harm that they've caused, right? And it's so fucking true. And I'm so tired of us being gaslit into, you know, thinking that our trauma, no matter how many years ago it was, that we have to feel like years make a difference about us speaking up about it or talking about it, when these men specifically give out awards for their legacies. So what about their legacy of predatory behavior? They don't like it that much? Shocking. Shocking. I'm seeing double myself. It's two of me. I've become two. But right? We don't need to feel bad about how many years ago our trauma was. If anything, maybe they should just be ashamed by the fact that their, you know, many years of accomplishments are going to be very quickly forgotten by the harm that they've caused. Like that. We're ready for the spa fund. Okay. So here we go. So first and foremost, I do want to remind everyone today that we still have a urgent medical help fundraiser for a industry survivor that really, really, truly needs our help. Like, this is serious. This is medical. This is an incredibly brave survivor. So I wish I could say who it was, because this person is just so incredible, and is reaching out under a pseudonym for help from the community. And, you know, here it is. Let's make sure that it's in the chat. Obviously, I see Nat, I see Innuendo posting it in the chat. So please, even if you can donate $1, right? So we have 373 people here in the chat. And just to remind everyone here, you know, eatpredators in general is completely community built. And we don't have any corporate sponsors for this show. And so, you know, this is sponsored by the community. This is survivors and allies getting together and building a new world together, in a sense, where we're showing support for survivors. And, you know, this is what it's really all about. And so we're almost there, you guys. We're at 1557. We have a $2,500 goal for this survivor. And this is an emergency. And so if you can, even just donating $1, right? We got 368 people in here. $1 would bring us $368 for the survivor to get their surgery. So first and foremost, that. Second, we have a unbelievably brave survivor by the name of Anne Green. And I'm going to be speaking about Anne Green's horrific, also just, I mean, she is an inspiration in general. And she is sadly going to be out on the street. And so this is Anne Green's GoFundMe, and if you can even just donate $1, you know, $2, whatever. I'm going to be speaking about this next week, and this includes, you know, Ray Nicholson, which is Jack Nicholson's son. This is about Arnold Schwarzenegger, alleged corruption within the system. This story goes so deep. TMZ is involved allegedly in this, and so I'm going to be picking up a bunch of documents and we're going to be digesting this story next week. And so if you can, even $1, these are the 2 survivors that we are, you know, advocating for today here on this episode. And, you know, if you care about survivors in general, please, even if it's $1. Anne is a powerful survivor, and so is the anonymous one that is in need of emergency, urgent surgery. And so, what is going on in the chat? Love the food so much. Wait, who? What food? Wait, what? My mom's talking about food? Guys, are you ready to get into crazy days and nights or whatever? Can't stand this guy. No offense. Like, not a fan, personally. I'm not a fan of, I'm not really a fan of blind items per se. I think blind items can be extremely problematic and, you know, dangerous in general. And so I have my own personal story with crazy days and nights. And so we're going to be talking about that today too. Oh, I do want to say here that also ways to support the channel. There's the merch, you know, spreading awareness for survivors. I'm actually wearing this sweatshirt today. Actually, it's time to take off the jacket. It's getting actually nice and toasty in here. And so I'm wearing the hoodie. I love the hoodie so much. If you want to, this is what Quiet says, you know, like standing on business.
Power to survivors!
Power to survivors. But yeah, so we have the merch. We also have the Patreon, if we can put into the chat, pick your tier. It's helping and supporting the zine that we have coming out that's survivor-led, survivor-centric. There are so many bonuses in that. And so, you know, those are ways to support this channel. Seriously, if you can support in any type of way, I've dedicated my life to this work, and this is completely DIY, grassroots, no funding, you know? And so this is community built, and I really appreciate every single person liking this video. Please like this video, you know, share it to someone, turn notifications on, subscribe. I was like, survive. That's how deep I am in this episode. I'm like, survivors, subscribe, you know, any way that you are supporting, even just watching this episode. Thank you so much for being here. So,
Can you let people know first?
oh, and if, by the way, we have good news. So if you are international, you can now order ePredators merch internationally. You just have to email us at eatpredators@gmail.com and we can ship it to you anywhere. I think, yeah, anywhere. So I know that we were getting a lot of emails about that. And so if you are international, we have made it possible to, thank you so much, Sia. Thank you so much. So international, dun, 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 dun. This actually really helped me in the rain the other day when I was protesting at the Grammys. I think it was Quiet that said it's like a 3-panel hoodie. So it means it's like a little bit deeper of a hood. I live in Los Angeles. I don't know what the fuck that means, but apparently it's a big deal. So it's a 3-panel hoodie. And it honestly did help me as much as it possibly could while I was protesting the other day. So shall we get into this trailer? All right, so I'm gonna play it here. I'm probably gonna get flagged for this, so I'm gonna have to end up muting it probably after this live. But for those who are here and witnessing it live, you're here. You get to see it. True. Well, Investigation Discovery did start following me today, so if you're watching, yeah. So if you're watching, don't flag me. Let me show my own trauma. God, that's pathetic. Okay, see what I mean? All right, here we go. Dun, 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 dun.
In the early 90s, Nickelodeon was kid everything. And you better hope that your house had cable.
Wasn't there to educate you. We were there to have fun, to get slimed, to be entertained.
And this is when Dan Schneider.
Also, the slime thing is kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie. Like every time I see the slime thing, like in retrospect, I'm like, I don't know. It's just kind of weird. I mean, I get it. I'm not trying to make a bigger deal about it, but there's still something kind of like strange about it in general. But whatever. Let's keep watching.
I was Nickelodeon's golden boy. He created these shows that were hugely successful for them.
No one had ever really done sketch comedy starring kids for kids.
He launched the careers of child actors who became major stars.
And all the photos, like look at that. No, can we stay on my screen for a second? Ugh. Sorry, just a big. Like, what? If you saw that photo just like online and you didn't know who either of them were, it would just, there's a feeling to the photo that I just don't necessarily like. And maybe it is clouded by my own personal experience with him, but it's just, what is that look? And what are those glasses? All right.
What the fuck is this?
For 20 years, he shaped children's entertainment and culture.
Thank you for being here.
No, thank you.
But that marked one of the darkest chapters. Working for Dan was like being in an abusive relationship. Dan's treatment of people on his shows was an open secret.
So my lawyer filed complaints.
You hear that? Open secret, that term, open secret. That's because, yeah, that's like most of the things that we just randomly find out about years later, by the way, in Hollywood was considered an open secret. There were whispers of it and people talking about it, but it took this long. And usually, well, actually all the time, it ends up on the backs of the survivors to get the story to be told. So just want to remind everyone what an open secret means.
Gender discrimination, hostile work environment, harassment, and it was so devastating.
How safe can any kids be in that environment? There would be even bigger problems down the line with actual pedophiles on set. These are 3 predators who worked at Nickelodeon, all in a short amount of time.
You know, it really pisses me off, like, to hear that. You have to, like, these are legit children working on set. And, like, the fact, which, by the way, did Nickelodeon ever give a fucking apology to Brian Peck's Survivor? I bet not. Because once again, capitalism, and once again, everyone within a company is told if you say sorry, you know, then you're held liable. You're liable anyways. All of these companies and these lawyers, they all end up settling. And then they're like, oh, but if you, what if you take accountability? What? I'm actually wanting to know what happens when you take accountability. You actually help heal somebody else. That's not yourself and not your company. You help validate someone's experience, and that matters. This company over human life is just gross. It's gross. I really, really, truly don't like it. They all end up settling anyways, right? When we hear about it, P. Diddy, whatever, all these companies, I think it was even Deborah Dugan. Recording Academy, I think, allegedly settled there too. But then they always say, the lawyer, and it's the lawyers, honestly, when it comes to the defense counsel, I think, that ends up really teaching them to, protect the assets, right? And I do want to remind everyone here, when survivors come forward and if they choose to make file a lawsuit, it's because they don't have many options. It's not like they have a plethora of options to how to get justice. And for them, it is actually probably, most likely, a form of healing, right? Where it comes to reparations, where hopefully they're able to see a good therapist, right? Or get paid back for the jobs that they got taken away from them by the alleged predator. There's so many different things. But the system constantly teaches these companies teaches them that accountability is something that is dangerous. And you know what's dangerous? Your client's behavior. Accountability isn't dangerous. Accountability is part of being human. You're not above human life. We all end up having to take accountability over something in our lifetime. And why do these major corporations or the people working within them think they're above that? So I just wanted to just say that.
Guys, we're ready for you.
It was a toxic environment. It made me trust people less.
We were there for so many hours. You get comfortable with people until you're not.
I had no idea what I was saving my son from. It was a house of horrors. They find this enormous trove of child pornography. The officer said we...
Sorry, that just didn't sound good. Let's continue.
Found Ziploc bags, each one with a girl's name on it.
11 charges of child sexual abuse related to a child actor.
It made me wonder who was being hurt.
I've been waiting 17 years for today.
It wasn't dealing with anybody on the shows or anything, right?
It was a child actor.
On one of our shows.
Yeah.
Yes. Have you ever told your story publicly before?
Yo, so what I'm personally thinking, this music, what I'm personally thinking, I mean, this is just my personal opinion, right? Is that someone's about to come forward that hasn't spoken before. And that is it's a pretty big deal. It's a really, really pretty big deal. And this is going to be major. This is definitely going to hopefully shake up the industry one way or another to, start taking these allegations seriously and to protect survivors, not predators. Right here. Whoop. And I hope that becomes the new motto. But I'm not surprised if it doesn't end up becoming that. But so March 17th, the docuseries releases on Max streaming. And, this is going to be wild. I don't know what to expect. I'm going to be watching this alongside all of you. And this is the first time for me too. Like I went in there and just did, my segment. And so I don't know what is about to happen. But it feels like it's something big, and it definitely feels like it's something that needed to, be known and to be shown. And so I hope that we all here support all of the brave individuals that came forward on camera with their names to speak about the toxic work environment when it came to Dan Schneider and Nickelodeon and what was covered up for decades long, I guess. So going into, interesting enough, it's so weird that Dan Schneider and this crazy days and nights weirdo is like on the same thumbnail. And my thoughts on this is, remember how I was saying like there are amazing, incredible YouTube content creators that have dug into these things and exposed a lot of things that needed to be exposed. I can see, am I freezing? A little bit. But when it comes to crazy days and nights, that's personally where I draw the line as a public figure. When I first heard about Crazy Days and Nights, I was at the Music Cares, which we now call Music Scares, because the co-founder or like the founder of Music Cares is currently being sued for the R word. But I was there at Music Cares speaking up on behalf of the music industry cover-up of SA. And when I was at the table, what was I, like a couple months pregnant? I think I was like 4 months pregnant. I got a notification from someone that I knew that if you haven't watched this episode, there is an episode here on the channel about my stalker, who me, my 3-year-old daughter, and my husband have a restraining order against, court ordered. And I go into a lot of it, the whole series. And when I was at the table, I got a message that my stalker sent in, I guess, a letter or an email about me to Crazy Days and Nights. And it was in response to my open letter about what I endured, the harassment, the threats, etc., that I and my family had to endure. And now I guess he had something to say that was full of lies, and it got approved by Crazy Days and Nights as a blind item. Now, as much as I've been saying that it's very important that, you know, YouTube content creators have the right, obviously, to investigate and do, you know, their own digging. And you have your First Amendment right when it comes to your opinion, obviously, and like digging into everything. There is a fine line there. And so I find it interesting that they're both on a thumbnail today, because we're talking about two similar but different situations. And it was very triggering. Mika, by the way, it's showing that we have a square in the right-hand corner. There we go. They're the same but different, right? When it comes to the loops and the hurdles that people have to go through to get a story to be told. And with Dan Schneider, you know, it took many, many, many years, obviously. We're like 17 years into this for myself, and then probably obviously longer for everyone else. But with blind items, Crazy Days and Nights just picks and chooses what he wants to post. And they're called blind items. And when I was scrolling through the blind items on his website, I found them extremely invasive and not properly fact-checked, obviously. They felt like Perez Hilton, but worse. You know what I mean? And just a reminder for everyone here, Perez Hilton's lawyer, I'm going to pull it up. Perez Hilton's lawyer is Brian Friedman. Everyone knows.
The best evidence that there is damage is the actual check that's written.
Just for people who don't know what the website.
I'm going to pull up the whole article of Will. But everyone knows. I mean, does everyone know in the chat about Crazy Days and Nights? Or is this the first time anyone's hearing about it? I feel like I was last to this whole thing. I feel like everyone knew about it and I didn't. But the whole thing when it came to Crazy Days and Nights is that it's this anonymous figure. It's somebody that, you know, nobody knows what they look like. No one knows who this person is. And there's a lot of folklore, right? Or like rumors about who this person is. And I guess he has openly called himself oh, never heard of it. Okay, so the people who haven't heard of it before, interesting. It is like major. It's actually where a lot of YouTube content creators got their information. And there's things there. He'll like post things even about Amanda Bynes that I just like don't think is appropriate. Like let's get out of here.
He's like making a lot of money on revenue off of these.
Yeah, he's making money. It's all about money. This person doesn't give a fuck about like, oh, we're going to get the underground scoop about this celebrity. Look at all the ad revenue. Show my screen, actually. You want to know what you are, Crazy Days and Nights? Look at this. Show my screen. These are the ads you get. Earwax and shit. This is what he's making money off of. Look at this guy. What is this even? I've never seen an ad like this before, and I never want to see it again, to be quite honest with you. It's absolutely disgusting. And so, you know, listen, he's a lawyer, right? So here's the thing. So let's get into this. He's a lawyer. Let's digest this guy. He's a lawyer. And so that's kind of scary, right? Lawyers in general are kind of spooky. You know, if you don't know the law, it's spooky. And what I've learned personally when it comes to lawyers in general is that they know all the loopholes, they know all the things, they can write things that we wouldn't know how to write, for example, and they have certain types of immunity, privilege, you know, that's where privilege comes from, by the way. They got privilege. And, you know, it gets dangerous. It gets definitely dangerous when it comes to somebody who isn't necessarily studying law to become a lawyer, a plaintiff lawyer, to protect people from either corruption or toxic work environments, et cetera. It could be used for the wrong things. And so the rumors swirling around when it came to Crazy Days and Nights was that this bro was a lawyer, Hollywood lawyer, he wishes, Hollywood lawyer, you know, knew all these secrets, you know, blah, 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 blah. And that was a little bit spooky, I'm not gonna lie, because when I didn't know what Crazy Days and Nights was, got a message that my stalker, hello, Crazy Days and Nights. What's his freaking name again? You're only known as Crazy Days and Nights. And he's like an old guy too. You would think this person was like, I don't know, a teenager making this blog, but it's like a 60-year-old man or something. Look at him. What's his name?
Also, power to the survivor in the chat.
Yes, power to, is she here?
I believe so, yes.
Oh, I see her. Yeah, he makes all the blinds up. What, you mean like the blind items? Well, I know that there are, though, blind items that he's getting sent and posting because my stalker sent him a blind item that was completely false, and then he posted it. Yes, and a woman and this is horror.
His name is Moron.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, no, his name is Nobody Knows. What is his name, though, for real? I'm trying to actually see what his name is. Why isn't it in the first paragraph? What is this?
John Robert Nelson.
John, what?
Robert piss.
John Robert Nelson.
Rot and piss.
That Phoebe Bridgers soundbite is like danger. But go Phoebe Bridgers. You're such an inspiration. So anyways, okay. So his name is John Robert, nice to hear. Yeah, John Robert Nelson. And no one knew who the fuck he was. Honestly, he hides behind the stupid blog where he lives vicariously through controlling celebrity narratives. He's a celebrity vulture. He, preys on, honestly, in my personal opinion, he preys on, clicks, obviously, clickbaity type of content where you're like, oh, Amanda Bynes said what? And then you are like thinking you're helping these people and actually instead you're invading their privacy, which is why it's called blinds. Blinds are put down. Can we go full screen for a second? Blinds are pulled down for privacy. You don't pull them up. You know what I mean? And I feel like the blind items thing is like, just creeps me out. It reminds me of someone wanting to pull up the blinds on someone. Am I right about this? Like, am I exaggerating here? This is what it feels like for me personally as a public figure when I see blind items. Like, I'm not thinking about someone who's blind. I'm thinking about blinds. Am I right about this? What is he referring to?
A blind item is a news story, typically in a gossip column, in which the details of the matter are reported while the identities of the people involved are remaining anonymous.
Right. So it's like something is in the shadows of the whole thing, which to me just bothers me.
Like where its origin is from.
Where?
Like the era of the 1800s when you were covering the stalkers protest. It's like from the 1800s.
What do you mean the stalkers protest?
Remember when you were looking into like the history of gossip magazines? From
right. Oh, it's from those fools.
Do you wanna see this man?
It's this.
Look at this man. Look at him.
Who the heck is this?
He is the person who the term is accredited to.
Okay, so it's just another white guy. God, these guys are so lame. I'm not gonna lie.
William de Alton Mann. His last name is Mann.
It's like, and then we got McMahon for Vince. What is this? This is like actually getting life after the war. Okay. Okay. Whatever, dude. Whatever. Okay. So
that's a blind item.
That's a blind item. But for me personally, when I think of it, I just think of something that's being told that's not necessarily at all fact checked. Like it's in the dark.
That's what its origins for used for blackmail.
Oh, okay. So it's like what we were talking about at TMZ, basically.
Yep.
Like it was used to get people to give them stories when they have blackmail. Okay, whatever. It's like Ronan Farrow's.
False, but it hurts your reputation.
It's defamation.
Right.
That's what it says here.
Right. Well, I mean, when you do the thing, though. Okay. So, Crazy Days and Nights. He's likes to call himself a gossip blogger. He is a person who goes around, from what I've seen on his website, just posting totally, honestly, just straight up false content about public figures. And the way that I don't know how he gets away with it or how he gets around it, especially since he's making money off of ad revenue. I'm guessing it's through freedom of speech. Sometimes the names aren't mentioned. Maybe Drenched in Drama can teach me the ways and how he gets around this, but it was pretty concerning what I was seeing on his website and the fact that there, isn't much protection when it comes to what he's publishing. And then I guess he did get sued by someone, I guess a year or two back.
His disclaimer on his website is pretty interesting, actually.
What is it? Well, send it. Where is it?
What it says here.
I don't see it.
It's on the bottom of his website.
I'm blocking it.
Oh. Crazy Days and Nights is a gossip site. The site publishes rumors, conjecture, and fiction in addition to accurately reported information. Certain situations, characters, and events portrayed in the blog are either products of the author's imagination or used fictitiously. So he's like,
So basically, he's saying everything on his fucking website is bogus. So he's like, but he's saying it's bogus. He's saying like it's fiction. So you're like Gossip Girl. You're like Gossip Girl, but like creepy and older and has allegations. Like, right? Am I wrong about that? Like, it feels like a Gossip Girl site.
Totally.
And okay, so I do want to show though what I personally experienced. Can you imagine if he like sends me something? It's like, look at your website, bro.
Right.
Like, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, right. Like, you're good luck, by the way, man. Good luck when people start figuring out or like wanting to talk about your blind items. So, as you can see here, we've spoken about this, but here, look at Friday, February 3rd, 2023. This is when I was at the Music Scares event, and it says like on January 23rd. Look at this open letter from Alexa Nikolas, alleged stalker, Will. And it goes into basically, I tweeted this. There was 71,000 people like the tweet. Is this Will writing this? Or, oh, maybe it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's about eatpredators trying to basically like discredit the whole entire thing. And in her defamatory post about me, you have an RO. This was before the restraining order, by the way. This was before. So this person got their restraining order in April. This is February. This person is actually a danger to my life, and Crazy Days and Nights decided to put myself in more danger, honestly, and enable this type of behavior. And so, you know, fast forward, I'm about to read this article. I honestly actually have not read the article yet. I've been preparing myself to read it here. But it sounds absolutely awful. But I do want to give a shout. Can we go full screen? I want to talk to Daily Beast really quickly. So Daily Beast, I don't like the headline though. I do not like it. And I've actually spoken to people over there, chill people over there, great journalists. But the headline I'm personally not a fan of. It talks about this as if it's like a vengeful mistress, and I don't. Can you get the word out of there? Okay, it's misogyny. And it doesn't have the same hit, like it doesn't land in the way that I personally think it should land when you are using the term furious ex-mistress. What is this? The Enquirer? What is this? Not Us Weekly, but like Star and Enquirer and like, you know, all of those like really, really shitty gossip magazines. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. The story isn't. It's just this part. But you know, it's like S lies and videotape. Fuck off, Daily Beast. Like, what is this? This is making it feel like just trash, honestly.
It's down to the level of Crazy Days and Nights.
It is. And also, though, I have a problem with it because it just naturally makes it feel like discrediting the person coming forward about something. It makes it feel like it's something that it's drama and not trauma, and I really don't like it. So I'm not, I mean, unless they change how they're writing here, like I'm not necessarily talking to them. Because, you know, you have published things in the past that are very, very great when it comes to supporting survivors coming forward to your publication, but this is definitely not it. This is just low, and I don't even think the reported survivor knew that you were going to make this headline, and it was offensive. I'm offended by it. So here we go. Let's find out, you know, what's the blind item on Crazy Days and Nights. So the story of how his identity was revealed. So I do want to ask in the chat for Drenched in Drama. Were you the first person to reveal his identity? Was he like completely masked until this Daily Beast article? I'm just curious about this. Okay. So the anonymous author of the notorious, I'm zooming in here. Okay. So the anonymous author of the notorious Hollywood gossip blog Crazy Days and Nights inadvertently revealed his identity to a Florida court last year in the fallout of a messy extramarital affair that wouldn't be out of place in one of his website's famed blind items.
Look at Drenched in Drama's quote.
No consent. He sent fake divorce papers. I thought he was single. Yeah, I saw this.
What?
Yeah. He sent you fake divorce papers? Who is this guy? Oh, I can't wait to listen to him, by the way. I have an audio clip of him that's the fucking gross, by the way. Who sends fake divorce papers? Kind of weird. Okay. Crazy Days and Nights, often abbreviated as CDAN, is infamous for publishing sensational and inflammatory claims about unnamed celebrities with little regard for accuracy. How does he feel now? In fact, the blog admits in a disclaimer that some material might be products of the author's imagination. The last year settled a defamation lawsuit with Diane Jenkins of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. But I knew about this actually. I thought she dropped it. Did she say anything? Yes, okay. But some items have their footing in reality. CDAN's lead blogger, who uses the pseudonym ENTY Lawyer, has been credited with beating major publications to the punch on several major stories. Look how they're framing it. I don't want to hear his accolades, honestly, right now. You're telling me that this blogger called Crazy Days and Nights is what, beating your publication when it comes to major stories? Isn't that weird, Miko?
Yeah, they're glamorizing his, I guess, blind items. Like you were saying before, how YouTubers, you're crediting them because they had the courage to speak out.
Right, but this is an article that's going into, yeah, exactly. Some of them. I'm not saying all of them, by the way. I'm not giving credit to every YouTuber out there that's just making content out of bravery or whatever. Like, there are some things that are extremely problematic and not factual, not okay. But what I'm saying is there are YouTubers out there that deserve credit when it comes to their bravery and digging into stories and investigating.
They're trying to look unbiased.
No, I don't find this unbiased. No, this is what I'm saying. I don't find this unbiased. It actually feels like a boost. No, it makes you feel like, oh, this person's somebody who's really high up and now he's been accused of what?
Right.
It's that shit. And it's fluff and whatever it's called.
Even off the playing field, almost like we're gonna expose you, but we're gonna praise you simultaneously.
No, it literally is fluff pieces where they put in things to get you like, oh, like if you don't know who he is, you're like, wait, he beat the punch to. It's all just to make the article sound. Yeah, exactly.
And then you're thinking, oh, maybe he's not that bad if he's exposing other predators, so it's manipulative.
Right, and also it's like the survivors are the ones who expose Harvey Weinstein, not you, bro.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Anyways, has been credited with beating major publications to the punch on several major stories, including Harvey Weinstein's predations, and developed a certain mystique among the mainstream media. QAnon-style conspiracy theorists and ordinary celeb watchers. Well, that really went down flat. I wasn't expecting that. It was like,
That's a bad comparison to be in.
Just bad description. Though a handful of profiles about ENTY Lawyer have been published, they were written under agreements to keep his identity secret. Why do you want your identity secret? You're a bot, bro? But the Daily Beast has confirmed that the dirt slinger... Wait, what is a dirt... I was not expecting that. Wait, the dirt slinger. Oh, right, because he's slinging dirt around about celebrities. I get it.
Description of who he is in this article.
Probably, yeah.
He's a dirt slinger.
He's a dirt slinger. Behind Crazy Days and Nights is licensed California attorney. Oh, he's licensed in the state of California. Well, we'll be going to the state bar very soon, and I will definitely be mentioning you. Is licensed California attorney John Robert Nelson, who in 2018 ran unsuccessfully. Sorry, this is now going really down. It was like it was like a little spike, and then it fell hard. Okay, wait, what? What did you unsuccessfully for Congress as a progressive Democrat?
Neoliberal.
Huh?
They're calling him progressive, but I'm calling him a neoliberal.
He's not progressive. This guy is allegation. No. It's unclear whether he currently practices law or ever practiced entertainment law, as his moniker suggests. So it's unclear that you ever practice entertainment law. Interesting. Nelson's secret life came to light because of an affair he had with a Florida woman that has spawned dueling legal complaints and accusations of abusive behavior. Last year, he sought a restraining order against the woman, Cassandra Crows, I'm hoping I'm saying that right, and included information in his filings to a Florida court that matched up with the woman's claims on social media that he is the author of CDAN. Too many letters there. In a complaint.
Can I show you quickly just his campaign really briefly?
He has a campaign?
He was running for office in 2018.
Did he make a video?
Campaign for Congress.
Why am I so small again? Oh, I'm small inside the big thing.
Oh, okay.
That's why. I was like, what? I'm like, there we go. Wait, what is this?
Trying to project himself as a family man, anti-gun.
Wait, careful.
What?
Oh no, I don't even know what we can say on here. I've already said enough, I feel like.
I just feel like sometimes, like you were saying, the predator isn't always stranger danger. It could be somebody he's
Is he Syrian? I was just wondering, because maybe he's not white, so I just want to I don't know.
John Nelson?
I don't know why is he talking about Syrian?
Because he's anti-war.
He's okay.
And he's against the NRA. So I'm just saying he's projecting himself to be this anti-war, anti-gun violence, right?
Okay, don't show his kids.
But
Huh.
Very manipulative.
Allegedly. He should know the law. Okay, so he ran for Congress. What was this, in 2023?
That was in 2018.
Oh, this is the complaint. Oh, wow. So this was last year. In a complaint filed in the U.S. District Court for the Middle District of Florida on November 8th, 2023, Nelson and his wife, Victoria, said that he engaged in an intimate... Do we see it, Mika? Intimate relationship with part-time podcaster Cassandra Crows, and that the relationship turned sour after Crows learned Nelson had entered the relationship under false pretenses. Nelson, in the complaint, alleged that Crows falsely claimed she was pregnant, falsely accused him of blanking her daughter, and barraged him with explosive blank, 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 blank calls and texts up to hundreds per day. He said she threatened to reveal Nelson's online persona to the public and that he paid her at least $1,500 per month or more in hush money and stayed with Crows to keep her from exposing me. I'm sorry. You are saying that you stayed with a woman because you were afraid of being exposed, and you're a married man with children, I guess. I think you're an alleged dad. Why am I feeling bad about you? You stayed with her because you were afraid of being exposed of what? Having an affair?
Mm-hmm.
So you were paying a woman to protect your ass. Like, is this really what is this? What is the point of saying this? What does that mean? What are you trying to elicit from the reader here when it comes to persona to the public, that he paid her at least $1,500 per month or more in hush money and stayed with her I don't know. I don't really understand, like, what's, like, does that make you seem better? No, it just makes you seem shittier, to be quite honest with you, dude. Not a good look in 2018, not a good look in,
Is it a good look in 2018 or is it not a good look in 2021?
both. Both. Surprise. Despite the payments, Croce's anger, threats, and repeated references. Look at this article. Most of this article is just about feeling some, I don't know. Is she in the chat? What is she? I just want to, what do you think about this article, Drenched in Drama? He's 55, you're 37.
Lies, all lies.
Lies, all lies. Okay.
Alleged dad.
Alleged dad. Okay. I mean, this is like, the whole article is oh, crazy days and nights. Like, what is this? So despite the payments, Croce's anger, threats, repeated references to his children drove the couple to seek a restraining order. The filing says, when Croce learned of the couple's intention to go to court, the complaint says she unmasked Nelson on social media and in podcast episodes. I mean, listen, also, if she had intimate relations with you, I don't necessarily think it's a big deal that she's saying who you are. Like, he's acting like he's like the Wizard of Oz or something.
You're not a superhero.
He's not a superhero. It's like, oh shit, we unmasked him.
My identity.
Why are you so? Also, I don't really trust anybody that wants to be hidden all the time. You know, like that's like the bot bros and like the people I see on social media that harass survivors like myself. They're behind these names like 2754543SABA. You're like, go away.
Hey, yo, you with your fingers in your chin beard, what are you sitting on your fucking ass for?
Oh my God, 30 seconds to HR. But you know what I mean? You're just like, dude, what? Why do you want to be hidden? Like, why don't you show exactly who you are? After he filed the order, he sent me a Zoom link for, I don't know what that means. I'm looking at the chat at Drenched in Drama's super chat, saying after he filed the order, he sent me a Zoom link for, SC, I get it.
Yeah.
Got it. After he filed the order? Wait. So he filed the restraining order. I get what you say. So he filed the restraining order and then is asking you for blank blank. What?
It's either like a setup or
no, it's not a setup. He's
using litigation as like a means of.
No. We all know what this is. You're a blind item.
Right.
You're not important. And when you became a focal point of something, you got scared.
He's a fraud, allegedly.
Well, he got scared. He got scared. He doesn't want to be the person that he does these things to. Your whole website is this shit, dude. Is it not? A whole website full of allegations about people. Well. Look at, what do you think of your blind item?
Yeah, she said it's a setup.
It was a setup. Didn't think survivors would unite. Right, because, I'm sorry, Drenched in Drama, which I want to just call her by her name, I'm guessing. I don't want to say, though, I don't want to assume. Can you tell me if there's there's multiple survivors here that have experienced this type of behavior? If you guys want to come on the show, like, I'm actually kind of curious to hear what they have to say. Right? I mean, I'm curious. Okay, let me finish this though. I do want to hear what it has to say. Okay. So for much of the past 17 years, I've supplemented and then started making the vast majority of my income through an online blog. I'm sorry, that just made me laugh a little bit. He's like a 6-year-old man with an online blog. It's kind of funny. Who runs for Congress. It's like a kind of an interesting, like, what a character. And then in 2018, a podcast. Throughout the entirety of this period, my identity has stayed anonymous. Okay. The complaint also mentions specific social media posts and podcast episodes published by Kroos that disclose his identity, and the details of those line up with instances in which Kroos claimed he was the author of CDAN. The court found that his request for an injunction against Kroos failed to allege facts significant to support a claim that the complaint failed to comply with federal court procedures. In his dismissal, the judge recommended that the Nelsons obtain legal advice and assistance or representation by a lawyer. What a crazy day. Or was it a crazy night? That is unbelievable. Wait, so the judge is telling him to get a lawyer?
Yeah.
And he's like, Judge, I am a lawyer. And you're like, you're a blogger.
Not a good one.
You're so lame, man. This is lame of him. Yeah, I know. Where is that? The initial case was closed on December 5th, and Nelson filed a new case against Kroos in Pinellas County Court, which is pending. Okay, so he filed a new lawsuit against her. Well, he's just not stopping. Kroos denied that she threatened Nelson or shook him down for money, and she suggested many of the text messages he cited in his filing were not from her. Nelson did not return. Interesting, not from her. I'd love to come on. Okay, yeah, I'm down. Let's go. Nelson did not return requests for comment sent by phone, email, and text. An attorney representing him did not respond to requests for comment. Okay, so no one, he didn't even email, text. Why don't you make it, why don't you respond on your own? I wonder if his own accusations are on his website.
It's always interesting when there's an attorney representing an attorney.
Yes. It's kind of weird.
It's like, you're willing to file all these lawsuits yourself and use litigation ABUSE, but what you need another lawyer to protect you.
Double time. Kroos' relationship, I don't like that word necessarily, with Nelson became fodder for a podcast she co-hosted with her friend Tiffany Busby. On episodes of Drenched in Drama, Kroos and Busby retrace what they allege was a web of lies that Nelson concocted. I was more scared of what would happen if I didn't speak out about it or what he would keep doing, Kroos told the Daily Beast. I understand that completely. In her podcast debut episode, Kroos said that in 2022, she purchased the opportunity to record an episode with Nelson from his Patreon. So she paid him. Okay, I got it. Which sells one-time co-hosting opportunities. Wait. Hold on. I gotta say something. I love that let's go full screen. I love that, my stalker and a lot of his, I don't know what you would call them, people around him, like to talk about, pyramid schemes and all of this. And it's like, you put your fake story with full of lies, provably totally untrue, onto a website where this person gives co-hosting opportunities on Patreon. That is wild to me. So what? It's because it's his audio that he feels safer because he doesn't have to show himself, so he can just be his voice, I'm guessing. Actually, don't show my screen for a second because I do want to pull the chat through so I can see it on the side here. Is that why? Is because when you became part of his podcast or when he was doing a co-host thing, was it just his audio and not his face? Oh my God, my chat's having to catch up, and it's wild in there.
They're saying yes, and there's more. I'm sure you'll learn.
Okay. So she paid $250 for her other podcast. Cassandra Explains It All. Kroos told the Daily Beast that Nelson continued to contact, record podcast episodes with her, and a romantic relationship ensued. He told her he was single and that he lived alone, she said. According to her recounting on her podcast, Nelson planned a trip to visit her in Florida for his birthday, during which they fell in love. The couple purportedly made plans to move in together. She said on the podcast that Nelson's wife contacted her with concerns that he was cheating, and that Nelson claimed his wife was an alcoholic and that he planned to separate from her. Okay. At one point, she claimed Nelson lied that he was going to a sports bar and then flew to his family in California. In the court filing, Nelson also mentioned this moment, but claimed that he was forced to lie to escape from crows.
He's telling one woman one thing, another
Of course.
woman another thing.
Yeah.
Age-old tale of toxic masculinity.
The patriarchy.
The patriarchy.
Crows told her listeners that Nelson proclaimed he loved her up until the day he had her served with a legal notice. She also alleged that he once sent her what she believes were doctored or fraudulent court records to convince her he had sought a divorce from his wife. As her podcast series went on, Crows detailed claims that Nelson ABUSED'd her, allegations that also appeared in a February 5th filing in state court that she provided to the Daily Beast and read aloud in a recent episode of Drenched in Drama. In the court complaint, Crows alleged Nelson was VIOLENT on several occasions. Okay, blank. I can't say this without consent. This is horrible. She also alleged that Nelson told her on January 11th, 2023, that he had blanked. Oh.
What?
I'm going to highlight it.
What?
Can we talk about this in the chat for a second? Was this in, and I'm not doubting this, by the way, when I ask you this question. I'm just asking, was this in writing by any chance? Because I just want to know. Because this is pretty terrifying, you guys. Yeah, I'm sorry. What is this, you guys? My chat. I wish I had my live chat the same time that I was live. That's the only bummer about like OBS. It's like I have to wait like minutes till I can see. Otherwise, I'd be able to even engage more with the chat if I was seeing it in real time. God, I'm waiting for Drenched in Drama to just let me know if this was in writing or if this was over the phone on January 11th, 2023. Yeah, this is pretty terrifying. Did they hear me yet? What was what I said?
And also saying that he's smart enough to.
Yeah, no, don't say anything. You can't say anything.
Huh.
Oh, I thought you were on mic. I was like, don't say the word or else we're.
No, I wouldn't. But that just shows kind of like his nature of utilizing his like legal education to potentially get away with.
Was this in writing or was this on a phone? I just don't like how they don't clarify what this is. It's like she also alleged that Nelson told her, is this because this was in the complaint? Okay. I'll just wait till someone answers. I'll keep going. The complaint also alleged.
Yes, I have receipts.
Really? Of this? I really want. I want her to come on the show. This is in writing? The complaint also alleged that after Crows was served with legal papers, Nelson's wife, Victoria, changed her Twitter profile background to a picture that Crows had sent John Nelson of a storm outside her bedroom window. It also claimed that Nelson continued to solicit S material from Crows after he filed for the restraining order last October. What? You belong to me and only to me, and I will use you as I wish. Oh! God. No. You're a Like,
Rot and piss.
that soundbite's gonna be overused. No, I'm making a joke. It's like, it is totally, it's so gross to say that. That is so gross. Okay, since outing Nelson, Crow's Head shared several audio recordings, which we're gonna listen to today. She says Nelson sent her during their relationship. The voice in the clip sounds the same as the voice of ENTY lawyer on CDAN's podcast on Patreon, and Crow shared several video clips of Nelson. I am so sorry that you, this is awful. Speaking on camera in which Nelson can be clearly seen and heard. Crows told the Daily Beast that she would frequently communicate with Nelson on Zoom. Been there. But it was Skype back in the day. Sitting in on his CDAN podcast recordings, watching television shows together, and seeing him blink. In an audio recording Crow shared with the Daily Beast, Nelson is heard fantasizing about physically abusing her for eating unhealthy foods and about striking her with a blank. I don't like this guy. I'm going to tell you right now. I don't like him. I'm going to let that sink in for a second. There's an audio recording of you saying what to a human being? Yeah, the Skype noise literally gives me flashbacks. I'm with you, right there with you, Elle. Me too. Even when I see the app, when I can't have it anywhere near me, honestly. I do not like it. What the fuck? It is so bad. I am so sorry.
Dresden Drama confirmed it was in person when
Okay.
John communicated.
Got you. Okay.
That quotation from before.
Well, we're going to listen to this audio clip of his blind
It
item.
makes me really concerned about any individuals that are in his personal life that he may be,
Who's saying this?
I'm saying this.
Well, yeah. I mean, he has children too.
Exactly.
And this is very concerning behavior. This is not in my opinion.
Not a cycle breaker. If this was something maybe he...
This is not even cycle breaker. This is like straight up alleged ABUSE. Like this is like not even going to talk about that right now. Like this is very, 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 very scary. If this is, this is scary. This is really scary. And no, not a cycle breaker.
No.
This is not cycle breaking. He knew I did not want that. He did it anyways. Wait, what am I missing here? Crows told the Daily Beast that the audio clip was reflective of Nelson's interests in SEX and that he would harm her during intimacy and become angered at her if she cried or expressed her discomfort. I've been there. He knew I did not want that. He did it anyways. Crows told the Daily Beast, I didn't think that a lot of it was going to translate into real life, but he was way more violent than I thought. Nelson was obsessive about her weight and asked her to regularly send him photos of herself on a scale. Who is this guy? She said even though he was aware of her history with eating disorders and DV, she said she lost approximately 35 pounds when they were romantically involved. On her podcast, Crows had described her relationship with Nelson as emotionally abusive and alleged that his harassment against her is ongoing via the legal system. I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with him, and I thought that he loved my children, Crows told Busby in her first episode. Now it's scary to me what people are capable of. I got a weird feeling about him when I first saw him, like his blog and, my stalker who has a restraining order. Now things are like starting to kind of, the dots are really starting to connect. This is pretty scary. And did Drench in Drama, did you happen to say if there's more? I'm guessing is there more than one reported? Oh, okay. Well, I want to play this. I'm about to play it right now. Okay. But is there more than one reported survivor? I'm very curious about what's going on, and if there's more than one person who wants to maybe come on and talk. I mean, I would want to give the opportunity to, hear what they have to say about this whole experience. This is pretty wild because, this person is kind of like known in the underground, like content creation realm of being a person who finds all the scoop about people and even about alleged predators within the industry and like exposes them. And now we're finding out that, who is this guy actually? Who is the man behind the website, I guess. Okay, so trigger warning here, but I think it's important to just hear this man's voice. So let's listen to, because, we read this article, and to me, this was the most shocking, vile audio clip honestly, I don't think I've heard.
Never heard, yeah.
And so I want everyone to hear this. And trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. He has 2 daughters. Okay, trigger warning.
You to the bathroom by your hair and get you on your knees and shove my fingers down your throat until you all over the floor. Now that your mouth is all wet with your vomit, I shove my down your throat until you again.
I'm gonna flag the fuck out of these. Were not enough bleeps.
Is it not enough bleeps?
Not enough bleeps. This is holy shit. Okay. All right. This is pretty bad.
Until you again. I do so until nothing comes up any longer. I shove your face down into the floor and tell you to never eat junk again, and then tell you to clean it up and shower and apologize to me for not being the perfect trophy wife I deserve.
I'm sorry, what? Why does he sound like that too? He sounds like monotone scary. What the fuck was that?
Are you going to play it again?
Like, oh, hell no is right. Okay, I do want to kind of hear it again just because I wasn't able, I don't even know if I'm able to fully process what I just, I'm going to lower this a little bit so it's not so jarring. I just want to see the...
You to the bathroom by your hair and get you on your knees and shove my fingers down your throat until you all over the floor. Now that your mouth is all wet with your vomit, I shove my down your throat until you again. I do so until nothing comes up any longer. I shove your face down into the floor and tell you to never eat junk again, and then tell you to clean it up and shower and apologize to me for not being the perfect trophy wife I deserve.
Full screen. You don't deserve shit. That is disgusting. That's you? Where's Phoebe Bridgers? I just want to hear it.
Rot and piss.
That is disgusting. Some days I think I'm like, oh, I've heard wow, this was shit. This was really bad. This was really bad. That was something I personally haven't heard before, man. We need to protest wherever this guy is, Christian said. I agree. You have 2 daughters? You're an alleged dad. That is gross, man. as a mom of 2 children myself, I am appalled by whatever the fuck I just heard. It's over. That was over for me, bro. And you know, leave these women alone, dude. Really? You're gonna, what's the point of this exactly? You want this video to echo throughout your legacy? Like, really? You're really that stubborn? I don't know, man. That audio freaks me out. And you know what these men always go, well, she was agreeing to it and it's like, dude, you said it. You said it. And regardless, what you said is deeply disturbing and disgusting and concerning and not okay.
Absolutely no one can consent to this logically or legally.
Oh yeah, Brian Freeman's quote. Why don't you hire him? So yeah, so we figured out crazy days and nights here. I would like to invite, we have some survivors actually coming onto the show. I can't announce who one of the individuals is yet, but we're recording on the 29th of this month, and it's going to be airing March 16th, the day before the premiere of the Dan Schneider docu-series. And it's such an honor to be able to have her on the show. And also I would, you know, I would like to have these reported survivors to come on ePredators and talk about their experience when it came to this individual, because I'm pretty grossed out. Yeah, at least you are there and safe. I'm so sorry. I mean, that audio clip was just like legit beyond, like, it's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
It's not okay. You do not deserve to be treated like that whatsoever. Like, this is human beings. It says a lot about him, okay? For me personally, it says a lot about him. This alleged dad. Yeah, no consent to ABUSC. Exactly. No. And the power dynamic here, you know, there's just things, in my opinion, I don't like it.
And the privilege to think that he can just get away with it. He's smart enough to know how to get away
Well,
with
allegedly,
it.
yeah, he said.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Well, that's what all these men think. Look at Dan Schneider.
They all document
Let's circle back.
their ABUSC.
Alleged.
Allegedly.
Yeah, they document their behavior, and they document it in a way that, in my opinion, as a survivor, it sets up the survivor, and it's extremely purposefully manipulative. And there was an incredible expert that I spoke to during my lawsuit, and she told me that something that she noticed from all of her survivors that she knew was that most of the time a predator will put the survivor, the human being, in a situation that could be seen as shameful, something that they would never want to tell anybody about, right? And they do that purposefully, because the more shameful situations they put the survivor in, the less likely the survivor is going to come forward, because they're going to think no one's going to believe them, and they're ashamed that they were in that situation with the person. And it's meticulous. It's purposeful. And she was a psychologist and would study like predatory behavior, and said that it's a tactic to trap the survivor into a situation where they know that if that conversation were to be released or showed up, that they would feel some type of shame, right? And, you know, I just want to say that audio clip that I just heard and what I'm hearing here, you know, it's just giving me that feeling of that, you know, that's just in my opinion.
Quickly, can you just let everyone know that there are resources if you are...
There are resources. Oh, do we have them pulled up?
I'm pasting them in the chat right now.
Okay, yeah, so there are resources, and obviously these resources are not necessarily verified by eatpredators, but there's resources that we are offering up from searching. Here, I want to verify these resources, but there are resources to make sure that, you know, you have someone to reach out to. You know, just a reminder that, you know, eatpredators is not a licensed or expert when it comes to ABUSC. And if you are feeling triggered in any type of way, please self-care, check out these resources, reach out to a professional. And, you know, there are resources out there. There are people that are professional and willing to help. And so, you know, that's that. I didn't like that video. That video just kind of, here we go. Here's the hotlines. Is this Rain?
It's a collection of a handful of them. Saki is a...
Yeah, I see. It's Essay Kit Initiative.
Anyways, just want to make sure everyone knows.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll be making sure that if anyone has any resources when it comes to hotlines that you think are very credible and don't have any weird allegations of anything's internally, because I've heard some shit about other places. And so I just want to make sure that whatever we're sharing, you know, is supported by the survivor community and that survivors feel like they can review these resources. So let me know. My stream is only 720p, just me. Someone said? Mika? Oh, okay. Okay, so, you know, oh, Britney Spears. Okay. So quickly, I do want to give some shout out to this because this is pretty interesting, not gonna lie. Britney Spears shared a throwback photo with Ben Affleck and reveals that she made out with him in 1999. She said, "I wish I could tell you guys a story that happened before that. Oh dear, I'm just being a gossip girl." Funny that she's saying gossip girl and we were just talking about the real life creepy gossip old man a minute ago. Gossip girl. Whoa, look at the views. 444. I've never seen that before.
Neither have I.
Whoa. Ben Affleck. Affleck. I mean, every time I hear Affleck, I think of that insurance company. So basically, from what I heard, I need to go to the chat and hear this. If Bubblegum Bite is still in here, can you let me know if this has been confirmed that she was a minor, a teenager, and he was 27 years old when he did this, allegedly?
We can do some quick math. She's born in 1981.
Yeah.
So 1991, she's 10. 2001, she's 20. So minus 2 years. She was 18.
Oh, so she was 18.
But maybe, like, depending on the time and when her birthday
Oh, right.
was,
She could have been just
17
turning
or
18.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, either way, 18, 27 is gross. I mean, it's not like when you turn 18, you're no longer a teenager or anything, or that you switch overnight. These are laws that were put into place by men, and have, you know, not really a fan of those laws, to be quite honest with you. It's because she's streaming live. Oh, yeah. That too. I'm not sure if Bubblegum Bite's still in here. But anyways, I wanted to put it on the radar that Britney Spears was talking about Ben Affleck. And then I guess there was a lot of misogyny going on, like, oh, Britney Spears like cheated on Justin Timberlake, and it's like, dude, where were you about the abortion story? And then I saw like someone say like, no wonder why he didn't want to have a baby with you. It's like, get whoever that was. It was like Grace or somebody on Twitter. Grace, bye-bye. Not relevant whatsoever. You're just a mean person. You actually spent the time to tweet that, and it says a lot more about you than Justin or even Britney. You know what I mean? So, you know, get out of that business, to be quite honest with you. But it's sad to see like how people spin these things and talk about these things, and everything that Britney does, you know, is definitely under a microscope, and to be aware of that even when I'm talking about this right now. But either way, I heard that Ben Affleck Affleck, I'm sorry, I cannot not hear that when I say Ben Affleck. But when Ben Affleck was something with Harvey Weinstein, it was in Ronan Farrow's book, I'm pretty positive, where he talked about how when Harvey Weinstein really got exposed, he was like, oh, he's still doing that? And you're like, I'm sorry, did you really just say, is he still doing that? You mean crimes? You mean like, what exactly what do you mean he's still doing that? So you knew that he was still doing that? Or like you knew that he was doing that before he was still doing that? It's like, that just really kind of grossed me personally out. So I don't know what the deal with Ben Affleck is, but I found it was pretty interesting, and we should definitely highlight it. You go my full screen or my mini?
We're seeing you mini. I'm
My
looking
mini?
up some interesting articles about Ben Affleck and Harvey Weinstein. And
Yeah, no, they
on
were
his
super
red
close.
flags.
They were super close. They were in Ronan
Rose
Farrow's
McGowan
book.
called him out.
Yeah. I mean, all these men, right? I mean, that's the industry. You know, it was a men's club. You know, all these men definitely protected one another.
He was an enabler, essentially.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Well, I don't know if it's alleged because he was, you know, actively working with him, and Harvey's convicted, so.
Wait, he was working with him when he was convicted?
Well, he was.
No. He was working with him
throughout his
before.
career.
Right.
So he was aware of potentially what was happening, you know, behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm. These men.
Affleck said, I find myself asking what I can do to make sure this doesn't happen to others.
Wait, we are speculating she was a minor. She may have been 17 because her birthday is the last month of the year in December. Oh, I see. So if it was before December, Affleck. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh, but
Rose McGowan called him a liar straight up.
Rose McGowan's pretty badass when it comes to calling out. Even Alexander Payne. There's a couple people I want to do. Like, I want to do a Rose McGowan episode, like all of the men that she has called out, and just kind of go through it. Because every time I find out someone new, I'm like, wait, Rose? Like, someone will say something about someone, and then the article will be like, oh, Rose already called that person out like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And you're like, wow.
It says the Times emailed Miss McGowan to confirm that she was asserting that Mr.
Scroll it
Affleck
up a little
knew
bit.
About
There we go.
Mr. Weinstein's mistreatment of her because she told him.
That she was accusing Mr. Affleck of lying because his statement did not acknowledge awareness. Okay, bye, Ben Affleck. Bye, Affleck, with Matt Damon. See you later. We hope that we don't find out when that photo was taken and also where. And that's a scary part of the whole thing, is that so many different states have different laws when it comes to this, and that's very problematic by what we looked at recently, that a lot of them do not recognize 16-year-olds as children. And, you know, just kind of gives me the, what's his name? Who was a lawyer for Epstein?
For Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah.
Oh, Dersh?
Yeah, it's like the Dersh vibe, where he's like, can we like make it 15 years old? Like 18's not enough, you know? You're like, okay. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. Well, I feel like, wow, we went deep into this episode today.
Yeah.
Said a lot.
Is there a
thank you
decompression that you'd want to leave people off with? Potentially, maybe something. What about that comedian DJ? Maybe we can.
No, not right now. I don't want to listen to anything hard hitting, like music, like.
Okay.
My nervous system. I'm trying to think if there's anything that we should. I just want to remind everyone of the survivors that we should be fundraising for. That's like I'm good with that. Okay. So, you know, we still have these fundraisers going on right now. There is a survivor very much need in urgent medical care, surgery. And so let's please put that again in the chat. If you can, she's almost at this goal here, $2,500. Every dollar really does count. So if everyone gave $1, we would be so much closer to the goal.
He talked about ghosts and places being haunted.
God, this timing. And then we also have Anne Green here, who is an incredible, brave survivor, needs a Hail Mary, literally about to be on the street. I'm going to be talking about her story next week, and it is beyond devastating. And before I even get to that point, I just wanted to make sure I at least gave a shout out to the GoFundMe, because there is a time limit on when she needs help. And so every dollar also counts here. So $1 there, $1 there. If all 300 people gave, that would help these 2 individuals a lot. And so, this channel is all about power to survivors and uplifting them. And I'm just going to put into the chat one more time here. That's Anne Green's and Think Heavy But Necessary stream. And so just to remind everybody here, I will be doing a watch gathering starting March 17th for members. And so if you want to watch and I don't know, cry or freak out with me while I watch this docuseries, I'm going to be doing that privately, obviously, because of copyright issues. So thank you all so much for being here. That was a long one. I am going to sleep a lot tonight. And just thank you for everyone for being here. Empower to survivors. Hope you have a good rest of your day, night. Thank you so much, Dylan Peddle. And I'm sorry if I missed anybody's super chat, I'll make sure that we check out later on tonight and see if I missed anyone. And next week I'll make sure to answer any questions I did not see in the super chat. And thank you all for being here. Thank you, mods.
Can you shout out the raffle for?
Oh, yes, and there's a raffle too. There's like a $10 raffle. So whoever is putting in $10 to the Survivor Urgent Care. Oh my God, my brain's starting to fry, you guys. Urgent Medical Help for Survivors. For Survivor is $10 raffle, and there's going to be a raffle, and then one of the people that have donated $10 is going to get a merchandise item of their choice from eatpredators.com. And so, yeah. Okay.